I'd like to talk a little bit about how to conclude a day. So if we're living our life and we go to work, we come home, what do we do in the morning, what do we do in the evening? I talked a little bit about motivation in the morning, and if you think of a day as a precious opportunity, if you think of a day as a complete lifetime, full of appreciation, within that we're working with many things that are happening. I think as a meditator or as a spiritual practitioner or as a warrior, we're realizing that every day is a journey. We can learn from it. So when we feel like every day is a path, then there's a sense of appreciation of all the exchanges and interchanges that occur. So even if we're left slightly confused or embarrassed or there's pain, there's joy, I think all of those experiences we learn from, if we can approach it in the right way in a sense, or if we can put it in context in terms of a path, or that we're on a journey and through the journey we're learning and growing. So in the morning it's reinvigoration and motivation, re-clarifying our orientation. That's a very important point. And at the conclusion of a day is a very important time. Within the Tibetan tradition, especially the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, a lot of times in the evening there's particular rituals, there's a certain chanting that's done to remind ourselves of how the day went, what our motivation is, how we call it aspirational, or munlam in Tibetan. And munlam is just kind of aspirational, or wishing, or reminding ourselves of the important themes in our life. We also feel like the end of the day is a time where it's going from day to night, so there's an element of transition of light, going from a lighter and dark energy, so we are more susceptible. I think often people say when you're driving, dusk is a time of, a lot of people have accidents, whether it's just the light change. But there is considered to be a level of, not the whole day's energy is the same. There's a moment of susceptibility, so we could be less mindful, less aware. During those times, we might get more irritated. And I think just on a practical level, we're probably physically more tired because we've spent the whole day. And likewise, our mind will tend to be more tired. So we may come home and take a shower and try to spruce up. And I know some people just may veg out on the TV, or they don't want to deal with anyone and put the newspaper up. So I think everyone has different ways of dealing with it. And I think it's important that somehow if we take even 15 minutes to just self-reflect at the end of the day, to realize it's a very important time where we're concluding. And in the Buddhist tradition, we say at the end of your life is actually a very rich and poignant period. We say actually your karma increases, or your karma becomes more manifest or stronger. So what you do towards the end of your life is considered to be very important in terms of what your next life is, from a Buddhist point of view, because we believe in succession of lifetimes. So if you look at a day as a succession of lifetimes, like today's today and there's tomorrow, at the end of the day it's important what you do. So in a sense you're taking what you learned and now you want to absorb it and utilize it. You also want to reestablish and reconfirm what happened in your life. So for example, if you put it in a lifetime context, people often at the end of the life reflect what happened. They think, I wish I wasn't so mean, I wish I had told somebody I loved them, And I have recently, the last 2 or 3 days, I have been talking with a few students who are somewhere in the process of dying. So, we're talking about what happens and the level of fear that comes up. But a lot of it is also just, I think, they reflect on what kind of person they were and what kind of life they led. And it's a very important time. And so there's regret. There's a sense of confession, like I did this, I didn't do that. There's also a sense of regret, I wish I had the opportunity to do this better. So it's a very, very important time. And I think for most of it, instead of unfortunately waiting to the end of our life, we should be doing it before. You're supposed to do it at least monthly, annually, and ideally daily, where you kind of self-reflect. You reflect and think, what? I wish I hadn't done that. It's a little bit of regret, but in a positive way. We all say there's two kinds of regret. There's positive and negative regret. If you regret that you did something that was good, like you helped, a charity, and you gave them some money, and later you regret, oh, I wish I hadn't given it. That's kind of like a negative, like a bad regret because you did something good. But if you you yelled at somebody and you think, I didn't need to do that. I yelled at the person, cried, and the poor thing, and then that's kind of a positive. So we learn from that, and we go ahead. So we look at our life and we self-reflect. And I think, we can do that for a few minutes at the end of the day. And it doesn't have to be too much soul-searching. It doesn't have to be too heavy-duty, but we reflect. Otherwise, I think what happens is we just sort of pass out. We veg out. We don't want to think about it. And we kind of hope tomorrow's better. Here, we're kind of building slowly, day by day, the potential that tomorrow is better or tomorrow is more fulfilled. We're taking what we learn. So I know what I did yesterday. This is what I want to do today. So that, again, just like motivation, the process of review, looking at, aspirational, like what do you want to happen? I wish, I hope this happens and this gets better. We make aspirational chanting or prayer. And I don't think to get too sort of strange about it, but when you do those chants and when you do those kind of thoughts, it puts your mind in the direction of something going in a certain way. So it's a very important time, instead of just worrying or just fading out. And given some days we're more tired, some days we're more energetic, but it's also an important period of the day when we're practicing and self-reflecting. So we meditate, clears our mind, we reflect on the day, and we just kind of make a note, oh, I did this. Now, I live an important life. I wish I could use it better tomorrow. So maybe that's something that you can try.